Hi, I will be talking about student loan debt, and this is my audience. The problem is that in 2004, student loan debt was at $260 billion, and as of now in 2017, it has gotten up to 1.4 trillion. This has information came from the impact of student debt crisis on millennials' happiness. This shows that as the years go on, the debt gets larger for students. The problem is that students that want to go on to college are having to pay more and more to go, like tuition keeps on rising. The problem exists because there has to be some way of paying for your schooling, and if you want to have a good job, you'll have to pay for it. What caused the problem is that the rise of tuition, programs of study, and taking longer than 4 years to complete. As the years become greater, as like depending on what you are going for school, you will have to pay more because tuition will go up and they have to pay the teachers and your housing and everything. The significance as student loans are things that no one likes to talk about because they are something that you'll be trying to pay off for a long time, depending on how quickly you can pay them off or how big your student loan was. How the problem is a pretty big problem because student loan debt is out of control. In 2017, the amount of student loan debt was at an all-time high at $1.4 trillion dollars, like I said. How many people does this problem affect? About 44.2 million Americans. This problem they are affected by student loan debt. That information was from the impact of student debt crisis on millennials. Harm that it does to people. Student loans can cause harm and you might not even realize it until something urgent happens. And economical, it stops them from making any big decisions like big purchases, like a house, a vehicle, family vacations, starting a family, and influences their decisions. Physical, if you have a car and you're not able to make insurance payments on it in time and you get sick, you will not be able to get yourself to the doctor if you don't have close family or friends nearby to bring you there, or you'll need to buy something for school or something that you need, and you will not be able to do it because you don't have enough money to pay for that and your insurance or and your student loans payments, and you could get upset with yourself. This affects you socially because you're not able to pay off your loans, which could lead to depression because you're not able to do the things you want to do because you can't afford it. And that would make anybody upset if they were not able to go out and spend time with their friends because they can't afford it because they have to pay off student loans or they're paying off other like housing payments or so on. And that information came from What Keeps Millennials Up at Night. The solution seems to be really simple. We think that if we would just make college free, it would make all like everybody's lives so much better. But as Maggie McGrath said, there's just one tiny problem. Making college free probably won't fix the student debt crisis. And that was off of the best way to fix student debt crisis. Making it free won't make it any better, but there could be some little changes that could actually make it work. The solution could work if the amount of college tuition was lowered. It could also work in ways the main focus should be on lowering the students' monthly payments and extending the time period that they have to pay them off. So their payments could be lower and the time for them to pay it off would just be bigger. Instead of like 10 years to pay it off, they could have like an extra two and have 12 years to pay it off. Practical, this has been possible in different countries. Like the change is possible because there is a thing called income driven repayment plans that is available through the government. And the country that this worked in was in Sweden because tuition is free, but the students still have to pay for living expenses. And living expenses are not comparable to the tuition costs. And Susan Dynarski had said this. And what she was meaning by this is your living expenses will not compare to your tuition costs because your tuition could be like $23,000 and your living expenses won't even be half of that, depending on where you are living or if you're staying at home or if you're still staying in town and the housing development you're in or apartment you're in isn't very high rent. How will the solution solve the problem? Students won't have to worry about trying to pay for college because it would be free or their payments would just be lowered. By doing this, the student could pay more focus on school and not have to worry about making that monthly payment. They would just have to worry about their living expenses, which isn't that big. And that was from American Can Fix Its Own Student Loan Debt Crisis. No one wants to spend the rest of their life trying to pay for their student loans. Like, no one wants to live their life like that. The public will support this because the students won't have to worry about paying every month on top of all their other expenses. And the public will also support this because there are people who are assuming their children might attend college one day and will not want their child to have to spend the rest of their life worrying about paying off their student loan debt, because that's one thing that parents don't want their kids to worry about. They want them to get a good education and have a good life without having to worry about that debt. Thank you.